Hey, what up, guys? Total Control 871. And tonight's topic is about socialism and politics. We had Bernie Sanders in Atlantic City today speaking. But before I get started, I think I need to crack open a nice cold one. So excuse me while I do a little Bewitched no. Much better. If only life were that simple. You know, that's kind of actually what I'm talking about tonight. In the mythical sci fi show Bewitched, we were met with a scenario where there was, well, it really wasn't just simply about Darren. Obviously the show it had its connotations of early feminism, sexism, who wears the pants in the family, who is the breadwinner, etc., things like that. And of course, we also understood that Darren Stevens could have anything that he wanted, but also there was another story going on. Samantha Stevens, the witch, with just a ring a ding ding of her nose, she could have anything that she wanted. Anything in our mortal world, that is. Which leads me to question everybody, if you could have anything that you wanted, what would you want? A lot of people will call Bernie Sanders a socialist. I know he refers to himself as a socialist. Tonight I want to talk about socialism, having everything, equality. If you could have anything that you wanted, what would you want and why would you want it? I know Mitt Romney received a great deal of backlash, I think back in 2012, over his plans for buying and installing a car garage. And of course, this is during a time when, well, people are still suffering economically. I know I am. But do I hate Mitt Romney for wanting a car garage or having the money to buy one? No, I don't. Matter of fact, he could buy one all he wants. I know that Hillary Clinton is facing backlash over receiving hundreds of thousands of dollars for speaking engagement, things like that. I really don't care. I don't care about Clinton's money. Frankly, they're all well-off people, just different levels and degrees of well-off. Bernie Sanders is not struggling. He's not suffering. Um, it all depends on what you want. Many people will ask me why I didn't take the money that I spent on my bicycle and purchase a car. Because I didn't want a car. It wasn't always so. I worked a couple of full-time jobs, 16-hour days. I won't take you through the whole big long backstory spiel, but I just came to the realization that I was toiling away on jobs that I absolutely hated to purchase something that, quite frankly, was not going to last at all. Um, Cars don't last. The engineering just simply isn't there anymore. Very, very few cars past the 80s are even deemed classics anymore. Otherwise, they just pretty much end up as burnt out relics, husk in junkyards. So, not only was Bewitched was never really, to my knowledge, regarded as socialism or communism or anything of such like that. I think people were a little bit too distracted with the whole feminist, woman empowered thing to take note of the subtle backstory of wealth. There were a couple of episodes. There was the one where Darren sprained his ankle. Samantha arranged for the house to do anything that he wanted, which gave him a taste of pseudo witchcraft, if you want to call it that. Another episode, which I thought was even much more better, Darren, old college mate, went on to, supposedly do much better than Darren. He owns his own firms, wealthy millionaire, and they invited Darren and Samantha over to their mansion where they had their, lavish engagement. And, well, the wife, I think her name was Daphne, she needles Samantha and Darren in their little nice, nasty way or whatever that the rich people will do. Uh, Even that in and of itself are things that to make themselves feel better. I guess that's what the wealthy are always trying to do, to make themselves feel better, to put themselves over people, and always at the expense of other people. And that's exactly what the wife did, Daphne did to Darren particularly, and Samantha just couldn't take her husband being berated, and well, just like that, she twitched up a luxurious mink, and well, Daphne simply had to have it. Anyway, in the end, after had to be the most crass. I mean, how do you go to your friend asking to buy something like that? Anyway, but in the end, Samantha and Darren decided to give Daphne and her husband this mink coat, for free, no money at all. And at the end of the episode, we understand the virtue, the moral of the story. If you could have anything that you wanted and you got it, are you actually happy? If any one of these neighboring car dealerships were to come up and say, we heard about your story, we heard that you're a homeless man on a bicycle, we'd like to give you a car. Thank you very much. But I'll be quite honest with you, I would take that car and immediately sell it, and the money would go to purchase an expedition touring bicycle. I don't want a car. Once you become honest with yourself, once you no longer hold yourself in comparison and measurement to your neighbor. I lived with a Republican couple for a couple of years, and the husband used to say to me that when he enters into a new neighborhood, when he goes to visit friends or what have you, that he looks at the cars on the street and he assesses people's. He doesn't say this in the exact words, but it's what he's basically saying. He's basically assessing their, not only their worth, but what type of person that they are by the type of cars that they drive. I found that very interesting, considering the fact that I don't own a car at all. What do you think of me for not owning a car? What do you think of me for not wanting to own a car? So, people use these things, cars, their house, gadgets, yes, like the one I'm talking to you on. People use a number of things that society has sanctioned as hallmarks of success. It's, in my opinion, why people are willing to pay outrageous amounts of money for a simple cup of coffee. I don't care what you put in it. I worked at Wawa very briefly, and all that lovely espresso stuff that you end up paying $3, $4, $5 for, it's day old coffee. It's the coffee that's been sitting and brewing on their burner all day. It's become extremely strong, like espresso, like cappuccino, and it's part of the recipe for making those high caffeinated drinks that people are addicted to. Yes, I the irony has not been lost on me. So I take a little bit of I try not to get too high up on my high horse. But yeah, if the microphone, because Bernie Sanders was in Atlantic City today, I have no idea. I wanted to go, but The Black Rider has a very bad laceration to the rear wheel tire. It did not cause a flat. Once again, a testament to Schwabel's Marathon Plus tires. They truly are some awesome bulletproof tires. But nevertheless, I really did not want to chance it. And given the accidents and given everything that the Black Rider has been through this past winter, I would like to give my insurance company a rest. Okay, I really don't want to have to utilize, emergency roadside assistance right now. Anyway, if I were at the Bernie Sanders rally today, and if the microphone were passed around, to me, I would have asked, although everybody is championing $15 an hour, what exactly is he going to do about stemming the exorbitant rise in the cost of living? Rent, mortgage, utilities. In the Supreme Court with Obamacare, broccoli became the metaphor. These people need to have their broccoli. Make them eat their broccoli because it's good for them. Okay, well, whether you are pro or anti-Obamacare, just put a pin in that. The fact is that you saw fit to force people like me, the everyday low-wage worker, to eat our broccoli and to basically eat this medical premium bill. You gave us a bill. You got elected into office and you gave us a medical premium bill. Okay, you saw fit to do that to us. What are you going to do about corporations and government? Are you going to force them to eat their broccoli? Are you going to force them to lower taxes on income taxes and property taxes? What can you do in the private sector to make them lower rent? I mean, $15 an hour sounds great, but it's not going to do too much good if all of a sudden the $1,000 apartment is now $1,300 a month. What are you going to do then? You really haven't given us much of a reprieve at all. If anything, the increase in wage only ends up making it into the real estate market, a real estate market that is controlled by Anyway, that's what I would have liked to have asked Senator Sanders. Star Trek, be it the original, Next Generation, Gene Roddenberry himself, the man was often accused of being a socialist because of his vision of the future where there is no more economic classes, where, nobody has a better car than others, or those like me who don't have a car at all. I would not go so far as to say that Roddenberry was socialist. Roddenberry just simply gave us a future where the threat of poverty like mine just simply isn't there anymore. I would ask people, if you had the rest of your life to live, what would you do with it? What is it that you want in life? Do you want to go to that job, to slave away, to earn money, that ultimately makes somebody else rich? And then the money that you're paid, you don't even get to keep it. It just simply goes back into a system where you get to purchase something that really isn't even worth it anyway. My grandmother, Lord rest her soul, I remember when she would buy furniture, it was always very low and cheap furniture. She'd do her best to keep it up and the pillows fluffed on the couch or the bed from sagging because it was cheap furniture. And the Republican couple that I lived with for a couple of years, in very similar fashion, I would watch this husband, scramble around during Hurricane Sandy and, when storms would hit. And they were just simply terrified that the gaskets on windows, foundation of house, that it was just going to crack, erode, warp. Is the roof going to keep? Seriously, you paid like a couple of $100,000 for this house. And I'm sorry, the area in which the house was located, it really wasn't hit that bad. Because I understand that Sandy was a lot worse in different areas. For some people, it was just a really bad rainstorm. And for others, it was, you know, a lot worse. But, I watched him, as he scrambled to keep the house from flooding. It's so very sad. It's so very sad that something that you paid so much money for, in the end, it just turns out to be cheap garbage, prefabricated houses that came in on trucks, assembled on site by low-skilled immigrant worker, whether they are legal or illegal, because I'm not really. This isn't about immigration. Today's topic isn't about immigration. It's just simply a very matter-of-fact statement that all of these houses in these areas, all those houses that look alike, they're all designed by the same people, built by the same people, and the contractors walk away with multi-million-dollar contracts, and they paying these migrant workers $8 an hour, to build homes. So craftsmanship suffers, infrastructure suffers, everything suffers, while the rich get richer, and the middle class and low wage proletariat like myself, you end up just simply slaving away. And this is why I have dropped out of the rat race. This is why I don't want to be a part of that anymore. The last earnest effort that I had for owning a car was back in 2002, I think, 2002, 2003. I had my eyes set on this really sweet, fully loaded Nissan Maxima. It was like fully loaded for $40,000, And, I really wanted that, and I was working very hard, and a series of events happened. I'll talk about them on a different blog, but I ended up losing both my jobs. And quite frankly, I'm glad that if it was in the fate for me to lose the job, I'm very glad that it happened before I purchased this car. It was my plan, by the way, to purchase it outright, to not finance at all, to come up with I had a 2-year plan to save up $40,000. And although it wouldn't have been the 2002 model, but I figure, 2004 rolls around, buy that model, maybe buy 2004's clearance model in 2005. How about that? And I'm so very glad that I ended up losing my job at that particular time. Not for the reasons, because I'll talk about the reasons in a different blog. But if it had to happen, I'm glad it happened before I purchased this car. And it gave me a lot of clarity. $40,000. $40,000. I'm a security guard that makes $10 an hour. Actually, it was $8 an hour at the time. Really? This is what you would have done with all that money. And here we are now in 2016. Where would that car be at right now? If I had purchased it in 2002, would that car seriously still be here with me? Get out of here. No. It'd be a piece of garbage. Cars don't last. They just don't last at all. So, poor craftsmanship, and of course, let's not even talk about the insurance that goes into paying for it, the endless gas. I don't ride my bike for environmental reasons. I know some people on my YouTube page will congratulate me for preserving the earth. Well, I'm glad that the earth is benefiting from my chosen way of travel. It's my chosen way of life, but I really don't do it for the earth's sake. I do it for my sake, and that's once again getting back to what I'm talking about. Doing what makes me happy. I don't use an environmental cause to define myself, just like I don't use a lavish automobile or a lavish house to define myself. I define me. I decide what makes me happy and what doesn't make me happy. I don't mindlessly consume television, reality shows. What is up with the cooking shows? I don't get it. You watch people cook with extremely bizarre ingredients, and then you sit there watching it as if you yourself would be what, cultivated enough or have a palate sophisticated enough to eat this shit. Please, I eat my burgers plain cheese only, and I'm sorry if that's just too common or plain for you, but these are the things that make me happy. Be honest with yourself. Figure out what makes you happy and then pursue it. If your house and all of the utilities and the car and all the trappings that go along with it, if it's not making you happy, well then why are you eating the shit sandwiches at jobs? Doing everything that it takes. You end up being emotionally and financially blackmailed into keeping these jobs, into doing all manner of really messed up things to keep a job that you absolutely hate so that you can hold on to possessions that, well, do they make you happy? All right, guys, there you go. That's my rant. It got longer than I wanted to, and I don't even know if I actually addressed everything that I wanted to, but I gave it my best. Total Control, 871.